So it's recording. This is the threesome of a red, a white, and a black male.
Yeah. I'm the red one. That's nice. That's
Yeah,
nice.
you are.
I like it.
And you're turning even more reddish now because you're like.
Yes, I'm
So yeah, Steve, let me introduce to you this great man here, great Native American, is from Eastern Germany. His name is Chiller. It really is Chiller because, can I say your full name here?
Yeah, there's no problem.
Yeah, so because it's Christian Hiller, and yeah, if you take
and please also mention the city where I'm born.
Yes, okay. Let me mention the city where he's born.
The city is called Gera in Thuringia in Eastern Germany.
Yes, so he's a real, he grew up on the other side of the curtain, the Iron Curtain.
Yes.
Awesome. Glad to meet you.
Glad to meet you too, guy.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Ah, that's nice to hear.
And that's Steve. Right. Yeah, let me do the other way. And Steve, I met Steve in San Diego, and Steve is like a barefoot capitalist walking around in a barefoot in San Diego, and that's how I met him. Yeah, and he looks like, he's first when you see him, you think maybe he's a little bit lost, but then you realize he's grounded and more than any other person. Very deep.
Especially when you're walking barefoot, then you are the prototype of the one being grounded. I love it. I love walking bare feet. It's what I enjoy in summer really a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. So one of the things that I was mentioning to Yaniq was that today is February 22nd, 2022.
Yes.
And this is a portal. So let's put some good energy for ourselves, the people we know, and the full planet, and open to a nice transition. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about today was blind spots and the awareness blind spots.
Mm-hmm.
And have a good conversation that us three humanitarians are like moving towards like something that we can learn from each other. So I have a lot of ideas about blind spots, but also I want to learn, and I want to get involved and have it so that we're all having a good conversation and growing in some ways.
So awareness versus blind spots, right?
Yeah. Awareness versus blind spots. That'd be a better way of saying it. So I believe that like a lot of successful people, they gotta get focused sometimes. In order to have that focus, a lot of times you have blind spots. So I'm spiritual, but not religious. But the Christians talk about the narrow path of Christianity.
Yes.
And I don't believe necessarily the God consciousness is that narrow path.
No, I agree. I think what many Christian people do by walking this narrow path, they go to like a priest and they dump all the bad things there, and then it's gone, bam. Or they're talking to the person, God, and actually it's like, well, sometimes they use it like a dump, or they're talking to themselves, right? But they don't even know it, because we are kind of godly, or no, I don't know. So talking to God means talking to yourself, actually. Not meaning that you are God, but you are part of the creation. So, but if you are like talking to somebody else, it's like going to a psychiatrist or something, and you can leave it there and focus on things that you think that you want. So it's all. So that means they are kind of using or abusing religion to focus on the will, on the own will. But will is not godly. Will can be ego. Will can be I want to have success, I want to have money, I want to have this, and they are using religion to free themselves of all the things that could hold them back. Is a tool, in my opinion. It might be it's from a, it's like what I'm doing is now a little criticism, right? That's what it sounds like. But of course, I experience also a lot of like good feelings with Christian people, because when talking to them, they have this, they already have dumped the bad things somewhere else. So they have really like strong awareness of you and that moment, which is a really good thing, right? So it's always both things. And me as a human, I sometimes I feel like the moon, like I feel like I'm like an observer. What is like this and like that, but I'm not like really religious. I actually I'm more like believing in maybe aliens, but I like the Bible. I like the Bible. I never thought that I would like it. Especially I like the Bible when it comes to like giants, or like when they mention about something that if you read it literally, it makes totally sense that we are like sons of alien creatures, right? So yeah.
So earlier you were talking about like the duality of things, the yin and yang of
yin and yang, but actually it's it's also like the eine Waage. What means Waage, Yaniq?
Balance.
A balance. Yeah, if you put like too much there, then, but also like with bad things, also good things can come, right? So yeah. I wouldn't necessarily call it duality, but probably it is, because I have once I have a nice image in my memory. There were some, we were used to we were kind of youth club, nor a club of young people doing party, and we gathered a lot of artists, and on one of our parties, those guys, they made a kind of installation, and they put like ropes on a table, on a round table, and they are writing like kind of emotions on each side of the rope, and there was a kind of opposite emotion or thing. That's what I remember, and that what reminds me. There's always a kind of thing that you could call opposite, right?
Yeah. So one of the things about, and I don't know if you know this, but as far as the cross, the part that goes up and down has to do with spiritual connection. And the part that goes right here has to do with like I'm putting my arms out to the side like this, has to do with manifesting on this plane of existence.
Or like connection with your brothers and sisters. I don't know.
Yeah. So I think this phrase, again, not being religious, but the phrase being in the world but not being of the world is very, very powerful. And what that means to me personally, when Yaniq uses the term barefoot capitalist, I feel that in that I'm in the world but not of the world. Yeah. And I think because I'm that, it's not about everybody being a barefoot capitalist. It's just like I was able to find my connection and my art through that.
I like the term.
So one of the things that I do, and this is a concept because sometimes people get lost in this, but I believe that the reason we came through in communities is based on being able to, whatever the fear was, dinosaurs or aliens, whatever the fear was out there, we came together. So while I'm sleeping, you can be awake.
Yeah.
And you growing up in your community, being a male, and we have all these different types of people, you see the world at different angles.
Yeah.
And when we come together like this, I'm able to see different angles of life. And I believe with humility, you can do that faster. I don't have to live through your 28 years of life in order to have all those experiences. I can come together with you here and there and be able to leverage some of your experience aligned with my life to create something that's whole, that serves me in this moment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you want to add anything, Yaniq?
Yeah, I think this is it's an exponential curve, like what we're able to do now. Like it just 30 years ago, you might have been able to get a different perspective from another person in the city, but now you can get a different perspective from anybody in the world. And so this social evolution, I think, is speeding up like crazy. And I think the level we're at with that we were graced to receive has a lot to do with the possibilities also of today, you know. And so there's so many cogwheels that play a part in this whole thing, and everybody plays like a role or a part in this, like even somebody who invented Zoom or the internet, you know, like Chiller, for example, because he does stuff like that, and might even and that's not Chiller, but I think a lot of IT people might not have the time to actually like develop their personal skills sometimes because they're so busy with developing technical tools that help us. Yeah, so it's like, I don't know, it's exactly what you say. Like as a whole, it's the beauty of the we, right? It's the beauty of of um, um, of I'm looking for the English word in my head now, but of mutually investing into one another and then speeding the whole thing up.
One thing I wanted to add to you, if you take me and you put it up against a mirror, it says we.
That's nice, yeah. Okay,
so
yeah.
Because of social media and because of the world's getting smaller, we're forced to see the me and the we more so. And because of just a short time ago, we would have had to climb up a mountain to learn a lot of stuff that we can just learn on YouTube. And we would have to go away from our whole entire life. But also, you can still hide from this. Because I became global at the college, and when I was in my late 30s, at the college that was 3 miles away from the house that I lived in. So
that's San Diego State, or?
Yeah, San Diego State. So a lot of people might have ideas about this, but what they're doing is they have blind spots to be aware of it. So I want to talk about a little example, and I feel I'm talking too much, but I want to engage. But I think this is an important example of how we can learn from everybody. So I was with Kevin. Yaniq, you had met Kevin before. I was with Kevin, and we were talking a couple weeks ago, and a homeless person came by, and they were digging in the trash, and they were talking about being a billionaire when they're digging in the trash. And I observed that information, and Kevin's like, well, like, why is that person doing it? And I was like, you got to understand that a homeless person, that we're talking about this specific person, they may not have any blind spots. They may be channeling God.
Better than we are, yeah.
Yeah. But what we're talking about is that person wasn't grounded. When you were here more in San Diego, I wasn't as grounded. That's why I have to go barefoot a lot, because that's an important staple for me to be grounded. And I told Kevin, I go, he's like, well, why is the homeless person talking about being a billionaire? I was like, you remember when we were here 2 weeks ago? And I'm thinking about this every go. It's like, he said to me, he's like, when are you going to be a multimillionaire? And I was like, I said, in order for me to be a multimillionaire, I'd have to lose $1 billion. I go, because I feel like and that was a conversation we were having in that same spot 2 weeks before. And that homeless person, because they don't have a bunch of blocks, not grounded, but they don't have enough bunch of blocks, was channeling into why are they all of a sudden talking about $1 billion? And that probably is what God is. God is trash and billions, like at the same time.
Yeah.
I know that's gonna offend a lot of people, but
no, yeah, yeah. Actually, capitalism in a way is also kind of natural in its true meaning, because you care about your own business, your own existence, and
survive.
Yeah, and you have a value. You have a value. Your every time of you caring about yourself or about other people, because everybody, that's one of the most important things that I think many people should understand, that everybody can do something useful for his own existence and also for his brothers and sisters in the community. And some people even make money with that, which is the best thing you could imagine. You do something useful and you make money with it, which is wow, right? So, and this is very natural, I think. You spend your own time of life and you put your heart, your blood, everything into that, into your profession, and you get paid for that. And if you're really good, you get paid more, and that's natural.
And one thing that to add to that, in the IRS, the tax collectors here in the US, when you have a corporation, they see that corporation just like a person. It has a tax ID just like a person would have a tax ID. So that corporation is an entity just like a person. So just like our genes have survived to the level that they have survived, also that corporation wants to survive.
Well, yeah, but the corporation level of capitalism is kind of is abusing the system on many levels, because companies nowadays, they are not even like owned by somebody. I mean, a company is like a program, is like a piece of software code, which the only goal is to gain more money, so that the owner, in terms of if they have shares, for example, right, they get paid a little bit on the end of the year, or their shares raise in value or something. But actually there is no principle, I mean, there's no idea behind this anymore. It's like a self-running thing, and those managers, they are even changing laws to help the company raise more, I mean, get more money. So it's a kind of, they are creating their own laws, so that means they're creating the futures of many people, just for was heißt wachsen, Yaniq?
Growth.
Huh? Growth.
Growth.
Yeah, growth. Yeah, right. So the only reason for their existence is growth. And they are doing everything. They're changing laws, and this is like is like a monster inside the construct, right? And if the construction means that they can't grow anymore, they're changing the construction. And this is what is not capitalism anymore. It is a piece of software. It's like machine. This is a machine. This is not human anymore.
Yeah. So I will set goals like at the beginning of the year that I want to infuse words like, sorry, not just words, energies.
Yeah.
Like when I think of humility, I don't think of it just as a word that you say and it's like fun, even though it has power just there.
Yeah.
But there's an energy in with like actually being aligned with compassion and humility.
Yeah.
So for instance, I learned by observing people that we all have that survival. We have all have that reptilian part of our brain that still operates and everything. So what I did, and it makes me hard to deal with at times, I made my living my purpose my survival.
Yes.
So sometimes when stuff's out of alignment, I like will walk away from something, even though it might be promising based in the world of the corporation that you were explaining and saying was a negative thing.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of times we can't get caught up in capitalism's good, socialism's bad, straight people are good, gay people are bad. And it's hard a lot of times because life's
you always need the context. You always need the context. And it if you're talking capitalism, it I mean, a lot of you people live capitalism and is a motivation and everything, and it's a good thing. But if one person says capitalism, it sounds good. If another one says it, it's ooh, right? So it's always the context, right?
Yeah, I was listening to somebody say greed is good on something the other day, and I was like, I know it from the movie, but they're so confident of it, and I actually came up with a word that I put greed and good together, and I call it grood. That I want greedy to do so much good.
Eat a chocolate cake, grood.
This is nice. I like it. I like it.
So that like one of the things that I was talking about is life's not a pendulum, it's a skateboard park. and we gotta motor through all these different things, and I think that's important of it's who I show up. Like I go to coffee shops every morning, and I've been doing it for many years, and I whisper, and they don't know it because I'm barely moving my lips and I'm not making a sound. I whisper I love you to the people in there. And there's always like one person that just like senses something's going on. And the thing that is crazy is it changes who I am during the day.
Yes.
And I don't know, and I know science is catching up with it, and some science is already there. I don't know if it really changes the environment for other people, but I know it changes how I show up in the day. So I can't be a farmer that's pissing on the vegetables that I'm sending up after being in a coffee shop. So if I ever became president of the United States, which will never happen, that's just a Bob Marley for president flag. That's there's nothing more to it. I would have Congress and the Senate wherever town they were in, whether it's Trevorton, Germany, or whatever, they would have to sit out in public an hour a day and whisper "I love you" to the people they serve. And I wouldn't change any policies or anything. I believe that would change the policies.
That's actually one of my blind spots, you know, like I genuinely love people and don't try to not judge them. Of course I'm judging them sometimes. It's natural, but my basis is absolute whenever, you know, like whenever it happens to me and I realize, of course, no, I think every person is worthy to love, you know. And I realize it the way to love on people, and that's where awareness and blind spots really come into play, is like you can have all the good intentions, but at the end of the day, it's all happening in our communication, in our bodies, in the way we physically communicate. And I have had a lot of instances where people would receive my love as something that is less hate, not hate, but more like weird or something negative, you know. Something negative, because it is so out of the common that people identify it as threat, because only a hacker or only a criminal can be playing so good in order to get something from you, you know, or something like that, you know. And it's lifelong learning. Communication is lifelong learning. And
but you know what you're saying is actually, if that's what you said once, and that I actually appreciate that you said that you told me that once. Actually, it is a gift that we humans have, that we can share love. This is a gift, right?
It's an unlimited supply. It's like we always talk
Yes.
about I was saying that the currencies we have
Yeah.
a limited amount of dollars or euros or francs
Yes.
or whatever, but we have an unlimited supply of love.
But
Yeah.
but you give it without any desire to get something back,
Well,
right?
if of
You know,
course,
because
otherwise it wouldn't be love. Yeah.
once you're kind of like you feel the urge need to share love, it could be understood the other way around, right? So me, for example, sometimes when I see people in the street, and like, you know, in the US, it's like you walking through the street and you look at somebody's eyes for a little bit too long, or not too long, but longer than usual. And then people say, "Hey, what's up?" or "How is it going?" Right? So this is like, it could be like a introduction into a further communication, because there was an initial contact with the eyes. I experienced it. And in Europe is not that usual. Here is more like, if I look at somebody's eyes and is like a little bit longer, then my next thing would be I would smile, right? And when I smile, I get a smile back. And that is like, wow, this is like collecting gold coins, right? If you're walking through the town and sometimes you have this something, your day is like, you know, sun is shining out of your ass. You're like, wow. And then you look at people. Yeah, I mean, even there, right? So you go there and you look at people and they see it, and then you smile at them and then they smile back, and cha-ching was like one gold coin, right? And
but the gold coin for me gives me a little bit the feeling of it, you want something back. So I don't know if it's the right metaphor, but I
no, I've never experienced as a gold coin, but it's now the first time that I say that it is enriching my my day, my heart. And then I feel also, well, not worthy, but you know, that, yeah,
Yeah.
I would like to challenge something, and I'm not sure why I'm challenging at this point, but there is an unlimited amount of money.
Yeah.
Because you think, okay, there's a dollar.
Because they're printing it.
That no, yeah, printing it. Well, yeah, there's that. That's a
And
whole
it's
other.
worth less and less.
But like, what if we followed $1 of how many times that was used on a daily basis? Because all this is energy, and
Yes.
the fact that the gold coin, you expected something back. That seems to be a blind spot for you. Of
What
how
do you mean?
you.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I'm Chilla and I together are building public space, and it's all about creating an alternative to capitalism, and it is all with pirate gold coins. So I shouldn't be bashing too hard because it's a part of my idea.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I
But
see what
it's
you're
like-
saying. I'm glad you're saying it actually. Yes.
Yeah. Well, of course, what you are saying is actually, if I have a gift to make people smile, right? Why shouldn't I open a place? Come to me, pay $20 and leave with a smile. Right. I mean, you are right. You are right, because then is it not like playing around. You are serious about that. You know who you are and what is your gift, your talent, right? Why spoiling it from time to time? Why? But sometimes you can't make something professional. It's the same with a massagist or some healer. I mean,
yeah.
right.
So like one
Yeah,
of the
go for it.
things that I'm an influencer in the cannabis industry among other things, and one of the things that I noticed with after talking to somebody, I give them some weed at the end of the ride, and if they're into it and cool with it, but one of the things, a lot of people, are you sure and everything, but it feels so good for me to do that, and for them it's more tangible than even like talking them out of suicide. It's like just giving like something like that, or because it's something that they're more comfortable with, and it's such an excitement. But the fact of like me, and I don't want to pick on necessarily Saudi Arabia, but having somebody come in from Saudi Arabia and then me giving them a pre-roll like at the end of the ride, I just like think that that's just like a magical memory forever. It feels so
Yeah,
good.
for sure, man.
So and
This is
and
California.
it's like from a capitalist sort of way, that dopamine that's attached to my brand and everything is also very powerful. So I look at this as layers. I look at it as layers of a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Even I don't know if that's still the same statistic, but have you ever heard the statistic that if somebody likes a restaurant, they'll tell 2-3 people. If they hate a restaurant, they'll tell, I mean, it's kind of changed because of Yelp and different things, but they'll tell 28 people. So even negative disapproval is like awesome to me. Like I look at that as like, sometimes I'm taking some steps towards getting negative disapproval because that will get in the head of that person more. And that's like marketing space in their head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you are the worst restaurant ever, then you're probably.
Well, you gotta have the balance. You gotta have
It's
the
so
balance.
true. There's so many people.
If I had a
that want-
restaurant, I wouldn't be going for that. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, it was the worst restaurant ever. I would go there just to experience how worse it can be. I mean,
Yeah. But going back to the skateboarder analogy, one of the things that the skateboarding, as far as like tricks and everything's really started in Southern California. But one of the things that helped make skateboarding bigger was the fact that they put signs in malls, "Don't skateboard here." And what they all said made it more exciting.
Yeah. They should have read, the story about Adam and Eve. They had 4,000 years of ahead time to know that people always want what they can't get.
Well, what's interesting with a lot of those stories is because a lot of times we're so caught up in words like religion and what certain religious organizations have done that we don't go to the core of like the message and learn from that. So I believe that the 10 commandments are awesome. Like that's a basic thing, but you couldn't create a bunch of churches just based on the 10 commandments.
Exactly.
So
the
I
funny thing
will,
is the 10 commandments are actually, you know, it says in the New Testament that the 10 commandments are awesome, but it says they're death, so they kill. And people don't seem to read that.
what does that mean? What does that mean?
It means that a set of standards or rules, whether it's in religion or anywhere, because we have sets of standards to be achieved everywhere in businesses and in even at home sometimes in families and so on, as in, you know, for a cleaning plan or something, is not what gives you the power to keep them. It's actually it actually gives you only a standard of what is good, and then only two things can happen. Either you're a perfectionist, work your ass off, do it right and get a burnout, or you can't keep them and you realize you're not perfect, which is the true intention.
Very bad sinner.
Exactly, which is the true intention of the 10 commandments, because the intent of the 10 commandments, according to the original text of the Bible, is that they're supposed to bring you to the end of yourself, so you realize you can't do it by yourself. And so with this whole story of Jesus fulfilling the 10 commandments on your behalf, meaning that everything's fulfilled, you're perfect, you're accepted as you are. If you fail, that's fine, stand up and try a second time, you know, that's the actual message. And so this is exactly the problem with religion in itself, is when they try to preach a set of standards and say you have to do this in order to please God. Well, according to the New Testament, that's exactly what does not please God. It's what actually makes God pretty angry.
I would challenge you to it's not just religion, it's an absolute anything.
I think
Yeah.
When we're talking about the 10 commandments, it is from a time when those 10 commandments were kind of law. Now we have law, we don't need commandments anymore, because actually, how can I tell? Sometimes even murder or homicide, right, can be innocent. It can be an act of innocence, and then it cannot be punished. It's not a sin in that sense. But if you do it on purpose, you wouldn't even need a law or a commandment to know that what you are doing is wrong.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
In the moment you know that what you're doing is wrong, then you have a weight on your shoulder for the rest of your life, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Anyway, and then you have the law additionally, which will punish you, bring you to prison, right?
So interesting what you're saying, because
but you don't actually need like a religious law to figure that out.
Exactly, yeah. And it's so interesting what you're saying, because in theology, which is the oldest science, it's a 500-year-old science, and it's a real science. People don't realize oftentimes, but it's a real science. It works with the same principles as other, you know, as psychology or any other social science. The latest big discovery, and few people know this, but in Germany, a theological discovery was that in the Old Testament, in the Jewish times, the judgment, they didn't believe in judgment, because it's so prevalent to believe in judgment these days in religion. But people don't realize back then, in the thoughts of the Jewish people, that judgment was the act itself. So you are being judged by already being the bad person. And that's exactly true, you know, like the moment you realize that you've done something wrong, that
this is your
heavy
judgment.
weight.
Maybe it comes even later. Maybe it does not come in that moment when you are doing it, but maybe it comes later, and then you